Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we finally wrap up October of 1989 with 3 more episodes of Season 6 of Muppet Babies. They are the 7th, 8th, and 9th episodes of this 11-episode season titled Faster Than a Speeding Weirdo, Skeeter and the Wolf, and Romancing the Weirdo. And I don't want to show my hand too much, but Sam, this week changes everything we've ever known about Muppet Babies, and I don't think I'll ever recover.
Well, okay. I don't actually know what you mean.
All right.
You'll tell me later, I guess.
Yeah, and I'll be somewhat shocked if we didn't have similar feelings about some of these episodes.
Okay.
But we'll get there.
I feel like we're going to find a way to come back to October 1989. We'll be back.
Yeah, at some point we'll have one of those wrap-up things we missed kind of episodes, and something from October 1989 will probably sneak its way in there.
It'll be 10 years from now, and we'll be dipping our toes back in. The most prolific month and year in Muppet history is what they're saying.
No one thought it until we got there, and then we're like, we can't escape this fucking month. Please let us leave.
I think a lot, maybe I said this already, but I think a lot about this particular moment in Muppets as kind of like what's going on with Star Wars right now. And I don't know how accurate this is. This just is what it feels like, where there's so much Star Wars media. And there's the Darth Maul cartoon, and there's a movie coming out next month, and there's several seasons of several television shows that I haven't watched. When at the beginning, I was like, I'm going to watch all these things.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, we're past peak Star Wars into, and Marvel's kind of like this too, into like, I would have watched Wonder Man 5 years ago. I can't watch Wonder Man right now.
Yeah.
I've moved on with my life. I've been burned too many times.
The fact that you said there's a Star Wars movie coming out next month and I couldn't remember which one
yeah,
is a problem.
It's not good. You're Matt. You love Star Wars.
I did. I still do. But that movie trailer does absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah,
that
so
Mandalorian
generic.
and Grogu trailer looks so terrible. And just looks like they should have just made another season of the television show because it looks exactly the same. But it's so funny. I remember having this conversation with a friend of the show, Nick Jenkins, about, 10 years ago when Force Awakens had come out. And I think they were starting to talk about doing things like Rogue One and Solo. And before Force Awakens, we had 6 Star Wars movies. And that was it.
But a bunch of books.
Well, yes, the expanded universe. But as far as like canonical Star Wars, there was 6 movies. And they had started the Clone Wars TV show. It didn't feel like you had to keep up with that at the time. It just felt like an extra little thing. And then they started adding in extra movies. They were playing this new trilogy and all this stuff. And I remember having this conversation with Nick back then of like, okay, Star Wars is going to throw a lot at us. And I think we even said something about like, man, one day there might be Star Wars that's either really, really bad or that we might just not care about. And congrats, Disney. You did it. You've done both. You've made some very, very bad Star Warses, and you've made me just not care that much about any upcoming Star Warses.
Yeah, at this point, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life was a Star Wars movie.
Rise of Skywalker, I believe you're talking about.
Yeah, I hated it so much.
Yeah.
But I guess, so what the Muppets are right now in 1989 is like, there's Muppets everywhere. If you want to watch the Muppets, you can watch Muppet Babies. You can watch Ghosts of Fafner Hall. You can watch reruns of the Muppet Show, probably. It's like the most Muppets there's ever been, but also Who wants it? Who wants Muppet Babies?
Well, and presumably some people at the time. It went on for a while. It made a lot of money, I'm sure, through merchandise. But I think you're right, especially with the reruns. Like Muppet Fever was huge right at this time. I think obviously they had the time period where they're making the show and the movies. So there was a different peak earlier on. But right now, you have the kids who are growing up watching the reruns of the show. You have the kids who are also able to watch Muppet Babies at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I was there. I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some people watched Fafner Hall. But I think between those things, the VHS tapes that were coming out, you're right. There is a lot of Muppet stuff, which is why things like a Fafner Hall, regardless of quality, probably slipped through the cracks for a lot of people because it wasn't, oh my God, Jim Henson has a new TV show coming out and he hasn't had a new one for 6 years.
Yeah.
It's, wait, the guy who just made the Jim Henson Hour, the show that we tried to watch, but then it was off the air too quickly.
Yeah.
Made another show. Oh, what about Muppet Babies? Is that still on? Oh, it is too? Okay, I guess I'll watch one of those.
Or I already missed it. Fafner Hall's already canceled.
Hey, it made it its full 13 episode run.
That's good. That's an achievement these days.
You had a few months to catch it. Well, before we talk too much about Muppets today, Sam, I had a little question for you that I was curious about this week. Did you ever want to be an actor?
Did I ever want to be an actor? Sure. I wanted to not ever have my face be seen. I would like to be a voice actor of some sort. I think would be fun.
All right.
I never wanted to be a screen actor.
Gotcha. You ever did school plays or anything?
No, I was terrified of that. I get stage fright except when I'm being a puppet, and then I do not get stage fright. Or when I'm actually, when we did one live Tangents, and I sat in front of everybody, and I don't even remember being scared of the audience for a second. So I could do that. It was
a pretty big audience too. I was there.
I was a lot of people. That didn't make me nervous either. So I think being myself, which is the opposite of being an actor, is fine. And being under a table with my arm up in the air with a puppet on top of it, also fine. But I don't think I could be a face actor. I think I would get too nervous. What about you?
I think I had dreams of it at some point, but they were very brief because I was more interested in making the movies as opposed to being in them.
You weren't a child model or something, were you?
No, you can't find any old Pampers boxes with my face on it or anything.
There's no shots of you dressed like a sailor or something like that?
No, there's these photos of me, Sears portrait photos where I'm dressed like a cowboy, but that was because I was into country music. That wasn't a special costume or anything. That was that was how I liked to dress up.
Were
when
you
I was
27
really
or 28 or what are we talking?
Hey, 24. No, I was probably 6.
Okay.
But I definitely,
really
I did school plays in high school, made lots of short films and stuff with friends.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I was thinking about this week because I saw something pop up in my feed and was like, oh, I don't want to be an actor in short films, movies, anything right now. But there's a specific acting gig that I think gives you a certain legacy in this world. And you get to be famous with just the right kind of people in this infamous kind of way where you are remembered for a very long time. And I think I would like to be an actor on the video screen in a Disney ride queue.
Oh, yeah, that would rule. You're right. That would be really fun. I think I could do that too. I think that would be good.
The guy, they have the celebrities, they have your John Boyega, your Daisy Ridley, and they cut to random guy and the thing all right, so I got to tell you how the seatbelts work, okay? So you grab the yellow thing, you push it in, you pull it.
Yeah.
We'll all stay safe here. Nothing's going to go wrong.
And then you're like, oh, I've seen that guy in Seinfeld before.
Yeah, and then you hear, whoop, whoop. He's like, hey, that's probably just a test. Don't worry about it, folks. Just walk through this door, take a seat, you'll be fine.
Matt, yeah, you'd be great at it.
And later on, he's like, oh, guys, I'm so happy you made it back. I really did not have high hopes.
What made you think of this?
So Ross Bryant, who's a comedian who does improvised Shakespeare, but he's also on Dropout things a lot. He is on the screens at, I think it's the Velocicoaster or the new Jurassic World water boat ride thing. He plays a scientist on the screens in the queue of that, and so people were like, "Oh my god, this guy from Dropout is on a theme park ride."
But he maybe has been there forever, or it's
a newer thing. I think it's a newer update they did. And it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's a sweet gig. Because think about the scientist from Dinosaur, like when they were just shutting that down.
What I was thinking of, yeah.
And he was at the parks. I don't know if Disney brought him there or if he just decided to go, but he was there for the last day of Dinosaur and was like one of the last people to ride the ride.
Wow. Yeah.
And everyone was standing around so happy to see him, and cheering him.
Being in that room with him while he's talking to you from the screen.
Yeah, he's like, hey. But I think about that with him. I think about the guy on Flight of Passage on Avatar.
Yeah, he's not.
I don't know his name.
He's not very good. You could do that better.
You have to do the exposition of explaining a ride while not making it sound like you're explaining a ride.
That guy looks exactly like a friend of mine. And so I watch it and I just think, man, my friend sucks at acting. And you spend so much time with that guy. Sorry. Way more than you do with anybody else who does that. You're just like staring at him for so long while he's like, okay, guys, look, we got a lot to get through. This is what
stand on the circles.
About.
We gotta, spray some stuff on you to get the germs off you so you don't infect your big flying monster thing.
Now it's time for me to explain the entire plot of this movie to you.
See that big blue guy? He's important. That's gonna be you in a minute.
Wow, I think we would be also good at this as a pair, don't you think?
Oh yeah. One of us would have to maybe get injured or die as a part of the plot, though, or at least go missing.
They should let us
me
be
and Sam. Where Sam?
Where'd
Sam go?
Like
you guys got to help me find Sam. My boss is gonna be so
there's
mad.
An animatronic of me on the ride. I'm like, help me. Maybe I turn into a skeleton like on the Mummy ride. That person gets eaten.
Yeah, you get eaten by beetles.
Yeah, they should let us be the interns at the records company in the new Rock and Roller Coaster. It's not too late.
I feel like they wouldn't give us any lines though.
We have to. I wouldn't even know who we. That's the only way anybody would know who we were, man.
But I'm saying, I feel like we can't hope to be in that at all. But the best we could possibly hope for, I think, the highest bar we could clear is two random guys who are in the corner. They're like, "Hey, you, get out of here!" And we're like scurrying off the side.
No, okay. So I think that's actually the best we could possibly hope for, and this is gonna sound conceited, perhaps. I think it's not impossible that somebody working on that ride knows about our podcast.
Ooh, so all right.
I think the absolute best we could ever do would be that our names were engraved on some kind of plaque or something on the wall.
Okay.
Maybe not even visible to the people in the line, but...
Well, see, friend of us in real life, not of the podcast yet, Callie Moore, who works on Eons, but is also, a real scientist.
Eons host, yeah.
Yeah, had her name on a plaque at Dinosaur.
Right.
Because she actually helped with the dinosaur stuff.
Yeah, and her fossil library lent fossils to the ride, the queue, when they
presumably
the queue.
they, took out and sent back. And
I would hope that they didn't smash them up.
Yeah. Oh, no, guys. Uh-oh. Those are real. Oh no!
Honestly, wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility that they would do that. But
no, they just added a dinosaur teeth to the Encanto house for some reason. Now he's like, oh yeah. But yeah, so she earned her spot on a plaque.
Matt, we're bringing recognition to the. We probably had the idea to make it the Rock and Roller Coaster ride first, honestly.
Definitely not first, but maybe independently and later.
Yeah, that's got to count for something. The other people who said it can be on the plaque too.
I mean, we definitely say it louder.
And for a couple hours at a time.
So if you want your most exhaustive Muppet fans to be represented on this
exhausting
ride.
As well, probably.
Yeah,
we're not the most exhausting Muppet fans. Not even close.
All right, name 5, Sam.
Okay, look. Hey, and if you work on the ride, invite us out to ride it, please.
Come on. I feel like I don't know if there's room in that for any additional voices, but if you need a voice on the radio...
Matt does a great radio guy voice.
There you go. Look at that. We got at least one of us in the ride.
Oh, well, I can do my own voice. So if you need
I want maybe
somebody in the sewer who's yelling up out of the sewer. Hey, get me out of the sewer.
Ooh, I like that. I also like the idea of you with the hesitant voice you were just using, being the guy who's like, all right, 3, 2, 1, go.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. And then it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, we're in this ride. We wrote ourselves parts, so you got to let us do it.
I mean, it is supposed to open in like a month.
Yeah.
So
you can print this onto a poster. Come on, you guys got to do something
to bring us into this process.
You're like in a street scene in the queue. Maybe like look up. Or okay. So you're in that street scene when you're in the queue. You know, you're like behind the building, getting onto the limousine.
Yeah.
And there are people listening to this. I think there is like a radio playing like up in one of the apartments you can see. Okay. Maybe they're listening to Commitment instead. And you just play every single episode. And sometimes we say like, I'm going to fart on Miss Piggy.
I was going to say, maybe not every episode. Maybe choose wisely.
Painstakingly go through and bleep out all the swears and bad stuff we say in every episode and just play it. And then maybe count as plays for our podcast.
This is official permission.
Yeah, you may use our show in the queue of Rock and Roller Coaster.
You're welcome, Disney.
Now I'm going to be disappointed if we're not in the queue.
Well, Sam, we should probably get to it as we are now 76.64% of the way through Muppet Babies.
That's how far we were 10 episodes of this ago, Matt.
So it's time for me to once again ask, what did we watch this week?
First, we watched Faster Than a Speeding Weirdo, air date October 28th, 1989. Gonzo and Animal have been really into watching cars set land speed records on TV lately, I guess, is the concept of the beginning of this episode. So they get the idea to soup up their wagon to be really fast. When it's ready, Gonzo grabs his doll/girlfriend Camilla, straps in, and drives it out of the closet and goes careening around the nursery, then out of the nursery door right into Nanny's vacuum cleaner. As he pulls himself out of the wreckage, he discovers that Camilla's been shredded in the accident. Nanny tells Gonzo that she'll do her best to fix Camilla up, but it'll probably take a miracle to bring her back, and that he needs to learn that his foolishness and disregard for safety can have major consequences for others. She takes Camilla away, and the other babies do a half-hearted job of teaching Gonzo about safety, but they seem to be able to tell that this is not really the time because Gonzo is pretty much crying for this entire episode. He goes into his closet and pretends to be on Mars and sings a love song about Camilla, and then when he comes out, Nanny is there and reveals that she did indeed fix up the doll after all, because consequences are fake and death can be conquered. That's what we learned in this episode. Next up, it's kind of a good Halloween episode. She kind of Frankensteins them back to life, back together, huh?
I don't think that was supposed to be the message.
Camilla came back different.
Yeah, we haven't seen Camilla yet again since the surgery, so we don't know what's in Camilla, whose brain Nanny had to use.
Who's Camilla now? That's right.
That's where Bunsen is.
What has inhabited? Oh no.
Yeah.
Next up, Skeeter and the Wolf, air date November 4th, 1989. Rolf is like, he's writing a symphony, I guess, something that will tell a story with sound only, no songs or words. The babies are skeptical, but Nanny is there doing chores and overhearing them talking and tells the babies that Rolf's dreams aren't so crazy and that there is, in fact, a very famous story called Peter and the Wolf that's told entirely through music. What follows is, ironically, pretty much the wordiest retelling of Peter and the Wolf absolutely possible, with Fozzie as the duck, Gonzo as the bird, Scooter as the cat, and Skeeter as Peter. Nanny stops telling the story halfway through because, once again, she has more mysterious work she's got to go do. But tells the babies that she has a Peter and the Wolf record up in the attic that she'll grab later so they can listen. Skeeter decides that they should go grab the record themselves, so she and Gonzo and Fozzie and Scooter head up, followed a little bit later by Kermit and Piggy. The first group don't know that Kermit and Piggy are up in the attic with them, and they think that there's a wolf sneaking around, so they capture him, and then Nanny comes up and brings them all back down, and they finish the story, and I wish that Muppet Babies had never existed. Finally, we watched Romancing the Weirdo, air date November 11th, 1989. It's written by Jeffrey Scott, the writer of the first 3 entire seasons of Muppet Babies. Has he recovered from his mania? Can he write episodes that make sense now? We'll find out. Gonzo enters the playroom with a mysterious object he found. It's big and metal and black and covered in keys. After trying to figure out what it is for a while, Nanny comes in and reveals that it is a typewriter, something that writers use to write their stories. This captures Gonzo's imagination, and he begins writing a story called Romancing the Weirdo, a sort of combo of Romancing the Stone and the Maltese Falcon. Is that what that's called? The Maltese Falcon?
Yes.
I've never seen that, have you?
I have not. To be fair, I maybe watched it in film school during like noir class or something, but not enough to remember if this is at all like it.
Okay, so his story stars himself as Private Eye Philip Samuel Marlowe Spade, and he goes into the jungle with Piggy to find her lost Uncle Kermit and the Emerald Weirdo, kind of like an artifact that he's been hunting for in the forest. Along the way, Gonzo gets ideas from other babies on how to continue his story, and then encounters and overcomes writer's block. And then Nanny comes in, and he sits down and tells her the story that he wrote. This one really has that classic Jeffrey Scott aimlessness that I've come to miss.
It's so wild to not only have Jeffrey Scott back randomly, but then to also realize that as the people who have watched the most Muppet Babies of anyone maybe, you can feel a Jeffrey Scott episode, can't you?
You really can't. He's like, no, Gonzo's horny for Piggy. Remember?
Yeah.
You guys are not honoring tradition here.
It almost feels like an AI written episode based solely on the first 3 seasons of Muppet Babies, where it's like, okay, what do these babies do now? Rolf just says dog stuff. Piggy beats up Gonzo. Gonzo's horny. Yeah, I think we got it all in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, classic. This is how you guys have been writing your episodes, right?
And Hank Soroyan comes in saying, actually, I'm going to make people cry this week, so maybe we do things a little different around here these days, Jeffrey. So getting into the first episode we watched this week, it is from October 28th, 1989. It is called Faster Than a Speeding Weirdo, and it is written by Hank Soroyan, the guy who took over running this show. And Sam, this is the best episode of Muppet Babies that's ever existed.
That's the only good episode of Muppet Babies that's ever existed, I think. And it's also really good.
It's legitimately good. It's maybe hard to explain to people who aren't watching this along with us how different this episode feels from every other episode of Muppet Babies, and how any episode in the past that we have said is good or the best episode of Muppet Babies cannot touch this episode.
No, because it has a plot. There's consequences. It ties in the imagination and the real really well. It has character interactions that are like based on previous knowledge of these characters. I don't know. The whole time I was just trying to figure out like what's so good about this one? And it is that it is not like any other episode of Muppet Babies has ever existed.
Yeah, this is like almost Fraggle Rock good.
Yeah.
Like this episode, it makes sense even as you're sort of, we've been hurt before by Muppet Babies. So as you're watching it and it gets into like the first third of the episodes, you're kind of like, okay, it's a lot of repetitive Gonzo trying to set land speed record things. This is is this going to be the whole episode?
Yeah.
I don't know about this. But as it slowly reveals itself for what it is, you're like, oh, that actually was a great way to start this episode. To show Gonzo taking things too far in a believable way. And
being just spurned and like going too far to try to prove to everybody that he's worthwhile.
Yeah. And even, we'll get to this, the big crucial moment, but the moment where we think he's like caused the big issue of having a crash on his car. He immediately is like, I am so sorry. I apologize. I broke the rules. I know. And so we're like, oh, okay, look, he learned his lesson. And then for that to be the reveal of like, oh no, this is the
killed his girlfriend.
Is so unexpected in the moment and just so real in a weird way to say about this show specifically. Like this episode feels like there's, like you said, real consequences, and Gonzo is doing all the heavy lifting here. And especially, I think, when you compare this to the last episode we watched this week, the whiplash of how Muppet Babies episodes can now be, that's what I was talking about when I was saying I'll never recover and that everything's different now, because I will always know this episode can exist.
Yeah, that they have it in them. And the person running the show, is that right? Hank
Soroyan, I think, took over in season 5 or 6. I think 5, because we talked about him a bit last season. He is sort of the new Jeffrey Scott, who's not writing everything, but is running the creative direction of the show. But yeah, getting into this episode, it opens up on Gonzo and Animal watching a show all about how fast cars can go. Starts off with a car racing through the Bonneville Salt Flats to set a new world record of 500 plus miles per hour. which I like this. Like you have the thrill seekers of Gonzo and Animal being the two who are sitting there just watching cars go fast.
Yeah, an interesting duo that makes sense, and that Animal is like kind of looks up to Gonzo as the crazy person that he wants to grow up to be.
There's some inconsistent animation moments in this episode for some reason, but also one thing that I think is stretched to its limits and almost breaks, but thankfully doesn't, is how much you can use Animal as a main character in an episode. Because I think they give him more lines than he ever has, and also like longer, more important storylines.
Right.
And they can't seem to decide how often he's going to just babble and repeat things Gonzo says, or if he's going to try and actually like make a point to other characters that's really important.
Does he try to make a point in this one?
Yeah, he at one point when Gonzo sort of disappears, the babies are like, "Where'd Gonzo go? Why would he try to do that?" Animal's like, "To make you proud."
Oh yes, right.
So he's
Out
very
of the
smart.
Mouths of babes.
He's very smart and very dumb, both at the same time in this episode.
I mean, I feel like that is kind of a little bit true to Animal in the future too, right? Like he's got his moments. Adult Animal.
Oh, for sure. I think it's just so out of left field because normally in these Muppet Babies episodes, we forget Animal exists half the time, or he does just repeat things back or add weird tags onto the end of other people's sentences.
Right. Or is basically an animal, just like a pure engine of chaos.
So for him to get actual plot points and for him to be part of conversations because him and Gonzo are the only characters on screen talking for a while, it just makes him do a lot more heavy lifting than he normally does. And I think it works really well in the episode, but I also think there are moments where I'm like, okay, that's not normally a thing that Animal would say or do.
Right. But at least he's saying or doing something.
True.
I think it was also interesting because Gonzo in my head in this show is very solitary for the most part. I think, and he feels a little lonely, which I guess tracks for Gonzo as a character. But in this one, he's got like a whole gang. So it was, I don't know, it was better to see him that way than it was to see him as kind of like the outsider villain. He's like, he's got his own little life going on.
Which is what they return him to in the last episode of this batch because it's an old school throwback episode.
It really is, yeah.
But yeah, I think they do a really good job in this one because they have to set up Camilla as being important, even though she has not been.
No.
It's actually, we've talked about this way back when we talked about the Muppet movie. Like, Camilla is made important in Gonzo's life in those movies.
Yeah.
Before she is ever actually established as being important in Gonzo's life on the Muppet Show.
Right. And then when they go back to the Muppet Show, it's kind of back to, she's there every now and then, but not generally like a big deal.
Yeah, almost more like she is in the Muppet Babies, where occasionally you hear about Camilla, occasionally Gonzo's got her, but like she's not a main staple. Their relationship is not the main defining traits of either of them.
And she's also a doll for some reason.
She's also a doll. So I think they do a good job in this of if you had never watched a Muppet Babies episode before and you're watching this, you're like, oh yeah, Camilla is the most important thing to Gonzo. This is a tragic story. Where in reality, we're like, this seems like a toy he just picked up today for the first time.
What does it say about this show that this is also what happened with the teddy bear in that teddy bear episode when they're like adventuring with that teddy bear that Fozzie has? Remember? I mean, I very vaguely remember this, but I also remember us being like, whoa, that was the best new character. That was like the best character of Muppet Babies ever. And Camilla also all of a sudden is like, you see her like 1,000% more than you've seen her in the whole rest of the series, especially her imagination version where she is a real chicken. I don't know, like what's missing in this show so deeply that every time a new character pops up and like does anything to interact with another one of the characters, it's like, oh, a little bit of human connection here or something like that.
I mean, I guess I
can tell you're friends with each other.
Yeah.
And I can't usually tell that.
I guess they need characters that they can kill.
That's true, because I think something bad happens to the teddy bear too, right?
I don't remember, but he at least gets lost in the one episode. And so I feel like we need characters that can be characters in your imagination, but we know are not real. And so if something bad happens to them, we're not actually genuinely, concerned that, Kermit disappeared. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I did, because I'm me, look up some of the things that Gonzo and Animal were watching at the beginning of this episode to see how accurate they were to either the time or just in general in the world of land speed records. So
they looked way older than the 80s, though, right? Okay.
Yes. So the two clips they show first are the Wingfoot Express and the Wingfoot Express 2, which are two cars from 1964 and 1965. Two cars, neither of which ever held the land speed record.
Oh, okay.
But both attempted to hit the land speed record.
Okay.
And in this clip, they say that the world record is being set for a speed of over 500 miles per hour. So the first car in 1964 only hit like 400 miles per hour. And somehow the following year, I don't know anything about this kind of racing, but the following year, one of the cars set a record of over 600 miles per hour, which feels like quite the leap.
That's a big jump
for 1 year. But yeah, neither of these cars that they show in the footage actually did that. And yeah, by the time Gonzo and Animal would have been watching this in the late 80s, the record would have been north of 600 miles per hour. Also, fun fact for you, Sam, the current land speed record was set all the way back in 1997, has not been broken since, and is 763 miles per hour.
Damn.
It was the first one to break the sound barrier.
Why don't people do it anymore? Is that just if we hit the limit?
I think that one was like, oh, I don't know if we can beat this.
Okay.
My favorite thing also looking up these records was that they go back to 1898. You want to guess what the land speed record in 1898 was?
In 1898? 30 miles an hour.
Ooh, so close. 39 miles per hour.
Damn, that's blistering.
They also show like some top fuel dragsters on this show that they're watching, and the announcer is like, whoa, he hit the unheard of speed of 227 miles per hour.
That guy had no idea what was in store for him.
Well, this was also, even at that time, top fuel dragsters were doing like 290. And the current world record for those kinds of cars is 343 miles per hour.
It was a top fuel dragster. Is that like the kind of car that was showed in the clip?
In the middle clips where they're like on the quarter-mile drag strip, where it's like the long, skinny cars with the big engines on the back.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that record was just set last year. So,
oh, wow.
Congrats.
Okay.
But yeah, once the show wraps up, Gonzo decides it's time to speed up their own lives. First up, they approach Kermit and his toy train set, hoping to, quote, get some more speed out of this old bucket. Kermit takes offense. And of course, the train goes out of control, becomes a runaway train, crashes through the nursery, interrupting Piggy's tea party. Fozzie's reading, which seems fake. Skeeter's jump roping, which is all she does anymore. And Scooter's computer time as the train engine runs into him and slowly pushes him off screen.
He's reading a joke book, I suppose. He could be like,
yeah. It just felt like a weird default thing to be like, what's Fozzie do?
Yeah. That guy hasn't been hit by a tomato in a long time.
I'm surprised it didn't come back in the third episode.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Jeffrey Scott's like, whoa, when's the last time you guys drew a tomato?
We forgot how. This new animation company has never drawn one. So we actually, unfortunately, can't do that anymore.
The only baby not involved in this scene at all was Rolf.
Well, we'll learn why later.
I mean, kind of. They don't really show him, like, all the other babies are doing something and are interrupted by this train.
Yeah.
And all we do is cut to the next scene, and Rolf is playing with his toy dump truck.
Yeah, but he's got a whole scene coming up, you know?
Oh, totally. I'm just saying, when you only have one baby left out of a moment, it feels like you that was a choice that you were like, maybe Rolf doesn't need to be here.
He's easier to make something mess up his day than Fozzie, too, because it could run into his piano and mess and screw up his life.
I can't wait to talk about that third episode. It's just so everything we dislike about Muppet Babies in one episode. Whereas this is a new high bar. To get these both in the same week is perfect.
Yeah, it really is. You're right. And for it to be written by the man himself.
I was shocked when I saw he was back.
I really liked that all the babies blamed Kermit for the train crashing, and it was never really cleared up that it wasn't Kermit's fault. It felt very true to Kermit.
And I was afraid that was going to be like the running thing too that we've seen before, where somebody gets blamed for somebody else's thing, and Gonzo was going to like have to lie or like cover up stuff. And thankfully, that did not end up being the case, because he's very quickly caught out in this next part where Rolf is playing with his dump truck. And some greaser versions of Gonzo, Animal, and Camilla approach him.
Guys. Yeah.
They're like, hey, we could give you the fastest dump truck ever. Where do they have to take that dump truck, Sam, to get it souped up?
Big Daddy Gonzo's speed shop? Is that
correct?
I like that within this dream sequence also Gonzo has multiple costume changes too. Because the greaser maybe is almost a different Gonzo than Big Daddy Gonzo.
Ooh,
who has got more of an
question.
Elvis kind of jumpsuit on.
Yeah, he's much more like making local commercials for his speed shop.
Yeah.
In this Elvis costume. But yeah, I think at one point Rolf's like, "What are we doing?" And Animal just is like, "Big Daddy." It's like, okay. And so yeah, they take his truck in, but they strip it down to nothing before putting a gigantic engine into it, making Rolf wait in the waiting room for a while. And then we cut to some footage of a monster truck rally, where in reality, Gonzo is smashing Rolf's newly upgraded dump truck onto a bunch of other toy cars.
Yeah, and then it just breaks. He just broke his toy.
Well, also the upgrades were just things rubber banded onto his toy truck.
This guy needs some Legos.
I mean, especially the lesson we learn here is he needs to not do this with other kids' toys.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he keeps taking Kermit's train and Rolf's truck and is like, I'm going to smash these real good.
Yeah, nobody mourns for Rolf's broken truck. They only mourn for Camilla.
Oh, the other babies get upset here.
Yeah, I suppose so, but Rolf doesn't cry and go to space.
Rolf does not get upset or sad or go to space, but the other babies get upset with Gonzo and suggest here that he should be more careful. But he does not yet learn his lesson and thinks the babies are just upset because they don't understand speed.
Yeah.
And so his plans are to build the fastest, most powerful car in the world, and then they'll understand.
And be proud of him.
That's the sad, heartwarming part. Where at first you're just like, yeah, this feels right. He's like, yeah, then they'll understand speed. Da, da, da. And he ends that with, and they'll even be proud of me.
Poor Gonzo. Somebody needs to go to a child psychiatrist or something.
Well, and the pride thing comes up in the next episode too. So Hank Soroyan's focused in on making people proud.
Oh, he did the first two?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Animal even reiterates this pride, like I said, later on when Piggy asks what's wrong with that little weirdo. Animal says, want make proud. So I think it's handled in both of these episodes, but it's better in this episode than it is in the next one.
They'll never be proud of Gonzo also, even as an adult. I don't think pride is something that they see in Gonzo.
Tolerance, I think, is what they put towards Gonzo.
Uh-huh.
Well, Gonzo and Animal get back to work upgrading their wagon. Skeeter comes in to ask Gonzo where the back wheels from her tricycle are. And Gonzo lies to her, saying he has no idea where they are. A clear sign that this dude is setting himself up for something bad to happen to him.
Yeah, he's going too far.
Kermit notices his fire truck steering wheel is missing. And then Piggy notices that her doll's hair has been removed.
What could it be for?
And we learn that this hair has been used as a helmet for Camilla.
Who looks pretty cute in it.
Animal agrees because he goes, "Oh, cute chickie."
That's right. I think this is when I wrote down that this episode is weird because it has an actual plot. I think I was starting to catch on at this point.
Well, you can feel that momentum. You can feel that he's clearly pushing it too far. That he has not learned his lesson, and
spending a lot more time in the real world, I think, than we usually do too. Like, he's not being Big Daddy Gonzo the whole time he's fixing up this wagon or anything like that. Like, they're really building it.
Well, and he's just, we'll get there again. But the problems with the last episode are things we've talked about before, where there's no consequences that matter to the real world at all. It's just Gonzo imagining he is a detective and a writer and just doing a bunch of stuff in his head that doesn't really affect anyone around him at all. And he is living in this like imagination zone the entire episode. So having the real Gonzo have real consequences in the real world while throwing in fun imagination sequences makes for a perfect Muppet Babies episode.
A perfect Muppet Babies episode. Did you ever think you'd say it?
I mean, I think we saw previous episodes that we thought would be the definition of that. Like if we have a spectrum, basically we just added on like a whole wing to the spectrum that we didn't know existed.
Yeah. Thus ruining everything that's come before it.
Oh, yeah. Really throwing off the curve. Animal sets up a ramp on the nursery steps, waves the flag, and gives Gonzo the signal that it's time for takeoff. And Gonzo eventually takes off, almost running over all of his friends, jumping the ramp, taking off down the hallway, and crashing into Nanny's vacuum.
This could have been an actual bloodbath. He's lucky.
Yeah, he could have, the vacuum looked pretty banged up, and that's
the
metal.
vacuum wasn't even brought up. The vacuum is legitimately destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And there's a terrifying crash scene here, which when they hit it, it's like an old cartoon or something where it's like flashing screens and there's close-ups of Camilla's face, and it's kind of terrifying, and you don't even really know why it's so terrifying yet. But it feels just sort of like, an old Looney Tunes car crash scene.
But he's really dead man's curving his girlfriend.
Yeah. We see Gonzo crawl out from the wreckage. This is where he starts apologizing to Nanny, saying, I shouldn't have done this. I'll never do it again. And Nanny, with one of her first wild lines of this episode, but definitely not the last, says, well, that might be all right for you, Gonzo, but I'm afraid it's a little too late for Camilla.
Which sounds like a line that like a police officer would say in like a 50s like film reel or something, teaching you not to drive hot rods.
Which is kind of the way Nanny talks for the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
There's really a lot of like, well, maybe Camilla deserved to die because you were reckless.
Yeah, it's like in Mystery Science Theater, there's lots of those like where a guy's telling telling someone that their brother got smashed by a train or something. And it's very matter of fact, and like he should have followed the rules of the road. He wouldn't be smeared all over the countryside.
But when Nanny dropped that line, I paused and was just like, what?
What's going to happen?
What does this mean? Like, certainly they wouldn't kill Camilla, right? Turns out I was wrong. Gonzo searches around for Camilla, and Nanny reveals where she is. She is underneath the vacuum in tatters.
Yeah, a mangled corpse.
Legitimately upsetting to look at.
Yeah.
Her eyes like dangling off the side of her, and she's ripped open with cotton and stuff.
Yeah, if you change the color of that cotton, pretty convincingly her guts are spilled out everywhere.
Well, this is, I think, I don't know. Like, you have these Muppet babies who look like stuffed animals themselves. You don't know what's going on inside of Fozzie. But to kids who are watching this, who are much younger than us, who just watched multiple imagination scenes where Camilla is walking around.
Oh, yeah, where she's real.
She's very real in this episode. Like, to show her very clearly dead, ripped apart, is a risk, I think, to making the kids think, I don't know, that like this could happen to any of our Muppet babies.
But it also is smart. It's like smart. They actually wrote the script smartly for the first time ever, and not lazily too. Where they did introduce a character and establish things about that character that paid off later.
Yeah. It's like they had the idea of like, what if we tried to kill Camilla to make Gonzo deal with consequences, and then actually thought, okay, well, we're going to have to make Camilla important enough that Camilla, it matters.
Interesting. We'll have to remind people who this character is that we haven't seen in maybe like 2 seasons.
Well, Gonzo starts to cry, and he asks Nanny, what are we going to do? To which Nanny replies, well, this is what can happen when someone thinks safety rules are just for other people.
Getting echoes of Cartoon All-Stars to the rescue. It's coming up.
We've pushed on Muppet Babies before that they often try to insert fake lessons into an episode that they did not actually teach.
Yeah.
This one does not have that problem. This one teaches a lesson very clearly and like 8 different times.
So it's interesting that they were not good at that also, because the 80s, I think if you're making a joke about 80s cartoons, like one of the things is that like the characters turn towards the screen and be like, and that's why you can't smoke drugs, right? But they're worse at it than like He-Man and the G.I. Joes and stuff. They had it more wired in than the Muppet Babies do.
Well, Nanny continues her uncomforting ways and says, Gonzo, you knew this wasn't a safe thing to do, didn't you? And Rolf asks, why'd you do it, Gonzo? And Gonzo says, I wanted to show you guys that I could be the best at something. And that's when I wrote, why is this so good?
Yeah. Why'd you do it, Gonzo?
And that's when he says to Nanny, I don't deserve to feel better, do I, Nanny?
No, I don't think I absorbed that line.
Well, it's because immediately afterwards, Nanny's response is, well, Gonzo, carelessness does have a price. Unfortunately, yours seems to have cost you Camilla.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He's in hell.
A very cold-hearted Nanny, which I understand.
I don't deserve to feel better.
Yeah. And she's like, well, it's like, no, you can teach that lesson another time, Nanny. If your kid says, I don't deserve to feel better, you don't lead with, well, maybe you're right.
You broke your toy. That's all.
But this is when the other kids start to get upset. Piggy asks Nanny if Camilla is going to be okay. And Nanny says, well, it'll be a miracle if I can sew her back together.
She's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, no, that is not a toy that is going to easily go back together. Or at least she's going to look pretty different when she's done. Nanny asks the other babies to help Gonzo clean up the mess and help teach him why it's better to be safe than sorry.
They do one of those things.
Yeah. Also sounds like a thing like a prison warden would say as he walked away waiting for prisoners to beat up somebody else.
The other guy up. Yeah, that's right.
Thankfully, that's not what happens here. But the babies do decide to help him. And he's surprised by this, which is another touching moment. He's like,
yeah, this was like all a heartwarming moment when he's like trying to pick up like a pedestal. What is that? Like
yeah, some sort of like, I assume it was holding a plant or something. And he's like, don't worry, guys. Don't help me. I got this. It's my fault.
Too weak. He's a baby. And Nanny shouldn't make the babies do that anyway. Would you make your baby reset up a plant and a pedestal?
Clearly, they cannot be trusted to do that. Yeah. I would say, oh, great, go back to the nursery. I'll take care of this.
Oh, yeah. You broke my vacuum, you little bastards. She was really mad about the vacuum, and she was taking it out on Gonzo through Camilla.
She leaned down and she ripped Camilla in half. She's like, oh, no, what happened? But the babies do say to Gonzo, just because you're loud and weird and you act crazy and you drive us all nuts and you stole my dolly's hair doesn't mean we can't love you.
Sweet. And have they ever told each other they loved each other before?
No, I can't. Not outside of probably Gonzo saying it to Piggy and then getting bopped on the nose for it.
This feels like, I mean, it's been confirmed at this point that they do live together, I feel like, even though it hasn't exploded. But
we see them in the crib constantly going to bed at night, taking naps, all this stuff. So it feels like they are not getting picked up at the end of the day by their parents.
Yeah, they are family.
But they do decide that Nanny is right about one thing. He does need to learn a little bit about safety. And Kermit presents this in the way that, again, because this episode is good, it works. But in any other episode, I'd be judging it quite harshly. Because he's like, Nanny's right. Maybe you need to go to some kind of safety school. And they just cut to a safety school where all cops are babies.
Well, it helps that those are kind of real things, right? Like a traffic safety school.
But it feels like Kermit is remembering that the script previously said, oh, right, teach Gonzo a lesson. And he's like, oh, right, I guess a safety school is fine. Did not seem like a naturally motivated moment from Kermit.
No. And then Gonzo surrounded by like 7 police officers is kind of a troubling scene too.
Yeah. Nobody else is in this class with him. It's just Kermit as sort of like the chief of police with all the other cop babies behind him.
It's like when the DARE officer would come. But if they sent 7 DARE officers came, and that would be
you definitely
really
feel
scary.
Like you were in trouble if they were like, all right, it's DARE time today. Here's 12 police officers.
We're rounding up the whole class. You guys haven't been good enough.
We know what you did, Sam. Well, Officer Fozzie demonstrates what happens if you use the wrong wheels on the wrong vehicles. And then Skeeter teaches us about borrowing things without permission. And somehow they're teaching us real, useful lessons that children need to learn.
Yeah, but not for very long, really. But
no, but it's still confusing.
Yeah,
that they're able to do that and just haven't before.
And even showing forgiveness because he's like, Skeeter, can I borrow your wheels? And she's like, yes. So kind of retroactively forgiving him.
Right.
But then also being like, but you can't put them back on, you moron. So you shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Then a weird thing happens. They come out of that imagination sequence and Gonzo's like, where'd Scooter and Skeeter go? And everyone's like, I don't know. They must have gone to check on Camilla. And so Gonzo's like, you know what? I'm going to go check on Camilla too.
Do we ever find out where Scooter and Skeeter went?
Nope. Because later on, they're just back in the nursery, and no one ever says anything about Scooter and Skeeter having done anything different during that time.
Why couldn't he have just said, I'm going to go check on Camilla?
Did they forget to draw Scooter and Skeeter into the scene?
I don't feel like, I think that would be okay. Because you could just imagine that they're slightly off screen.
Yeah, it's like Rolf in the beginning where it's like, well, Rolf wasn't in that scene, but he's here now, so don't worry.
Right, but this one doesn't mean anything. Because at least, because like if Rolf was playing piano or something and they messed him up, it might be a little bit of a jump for him to be playing with trucks right afterwards. But
right. But yeah, Scooter and Skeeter, we're told they're missing. We're told they probably went to check on Camilla, but then that just doesn't seem to be true.
No.
We don't get an explanation for where they actually were. I guess they just wanted to skip out on helping clean up.
I guess, yeah, it could be.
So Gonzo heads to the hospital to check on Camilla, who is in the injured chicken wing. But we do hear Foghorn Leghorn and Tweety Bird, who are also there and injured. I guess this is also saying Tweety Bird is a chicken. So
I suppose famously a canary, but that's okay.
So Gonzo checks in with Nanny.
It would be so weird if Granny was keeping a chicken in her cage. Do they think? Oh, wait, whatever. It didn't have Wikipedia back then.
My cat keeps trying to eat my chicken.
Yeah.
Well, Gonzo checks in with Nanny, but she tells him it's still too early to know if Camilla's going to pull through.
Yeah.
And so it's time for the best Muppet Babies song, I'm going to say it, that will ever exist.
There won't be an episode better than this. I think You're right. I don't think it's possible.
I know Hank Soroyan goes on to write a lot more episodes, I believe. I think he writes the last 2 seasons almost completely by himself.
But Skeeter and the Wolf was fucking awful.
Well, you're not wrong. So, yeah, somehow this lovely tribute from Gonzo to Camilla that he sings while he's on Mars is just a great song, is a great Muppet Baby song, will never be topped, has never been beaten. Every piece of this is the best Muppet Babies thing we'll probably ever see.
Even the fact that he's on Mars is like, yeah, he's a fucking weird guy. He's singing a love song, but he's a weird guy.
Well, and it's even, skipping ahead a little bit at the end when Kermit goes to check on him when he's on Mars. Like Kermit's playing along. He's like, oh, we're on Mars. Great. How do we get back to the nursery? He's like, oh, go around the cardboard box.
Yes. I thought that was really cute too.
Very good.
Yeah. Kermit's meeting him where he's at.
So Nanny comes back to check on the kids and thank them for cleaning up the hallway. She's like, hey, but where's Gonzo? And the kids are like, oh, we thought he was with you. But then Scooter says, hey, wait. I saw Gonzo talking to Fozzie a while ago.
It's a good episode of Muppet Babies, but it's not perfect.
This part is the weakest part of the episode by far.
Yeah.
Because laying out the events here, Nanny comes in and says, hey, where's Gonzo?
Mm-hmm.
The kids go, we thought he was with you. And they're like, oh no, where's Gonzo? And then Scooter just goes, oh, wait, actually, I did see Gonzo. He was talking to Fozzie a little while ago. And Skeeter says, yeah, I saw that too. So I don't know if there was maybe something cut. We never saw Gonzo and Fozzie talking. We don't know when that would have happened.
They're setting Fozzie up for something.
Well, and they just said that they thought he was with Nanny, these 2 missing babies, Scooter and Skeeter, who no one knew where they were either.
They're up to something.
And so then Fozzie tries to cover for Gonzo, but he's a really bad liar. So I think that's the weakest part of the episode is this weird Scooter Skeeter moment where like I don't know what they're doing.
What they're up to. Yeah. There's a whole secret subplot where they're like stealing or something like that. They're like...
Yeah, they're actually both 40-year-olds just in baby costumes.
And they're doing cyber crimes with his computer or something.
But we get a wild moment here as far as teaching lessons goes because as Fozzie's trying to lie and cover up for Gonzo, he's like, well... I'm just trying to help out because Gonzo made me promise not to tell where he was.
Right.
And Nanny goes, well, that's fair. I wouldn't want you to break a promise.
Not what you're supposed to tell children.
If you have 8 children and one of them disappears and one of them knows where the other one is hiding, you don't say, well, if you promise, you don't have to tell me.
You can't tell me.
At that point, you should explain that it's important that they actually do break the promise because, maybe a baby's life is in danger.
Yeah, or in general, when somebody asks a baby to keep a secret with their life, the baby should not do that.
Yeah. When it's another baby, I understand that there's probably some confusion there.
I suppose, yes.
But thankfully, Fozzie slips up and reveals that Gonzo is unsurprisingly hiding out in his closet.
She also knows that Fozzie is an absolute dimwit, and she said that to trick him.
Yeah, she's just waiting. She's like, oh, well, okay, don't break your promise, Fozzie. So Kermit's the one, not Nanny, who goes to check on Gonzo. Am I crazy? But Kermit was just in the closet, right? Oh, no, this is when Kermit goes to the closet to talk to Gonzo.
Yeah. Okay, I was getting it backwards in my head.
Yeah. No, this is when he goes to check on Gonzo. He finds that Gonzo is on Mars, and he's sitting there still crying and wishing really hard for a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Gonzo crying looks so sad, too.
Yeah.
His big ball eyes.
Well, and it just like ekes out the side of his eye, too, and like falls down his cheek.
Oh.
He tells Kermit, Camilla and I used to come here a lot. It's so sad.
Yeah, but they didn't really. We've seen them not go there ever. It's all a
Hey,
lie.
they got lives that we don't see. We're only privy to this half hour a week.
That's true. When in your head, when you're watching a show, does every episode happen a week later than the episode previous to it in the world of the show, unless otherwise strictly stated?
Yes, usually, because I think so many shows use that to make holiday episodes happen.
Yes,
and like they line up the season with the time that you're watching it.
Right.
So I usually assume that like this episode takes place in April, the year I'm in, and then the next episode takes place in May, and like, yeah, unless otherwise stated, like you said, like certain shows like The Pit or 24 or something where it's like, hey, this is a very specific time frame device.
Like once a week, the friends from Friends have a very interesting day, and then otherwise they're just at work.
Right. Yeah, there's very boring days in between. We just happen to catch them on the interesting ones. But then again, sometimes those episodes
take place over multiple days.
And weeks sometimes. Like sometimes you'll have a time jump of months in a show and you're like, hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know about this. We can't jump months on 1 week of a television show.
Yeah, how are they supposed to intersect Christmas? Then you have to assume that they have a bunch of interesting weeks in a row squished together. It's all messed up.
Well, Gonzo and Kermit return to the nursery, and Nanny takes all the babies to the sewing room, one of the 1,000 rooms in this Fafner Hall-like building.
Yeah.
Where they all find Camilla repaired and sitting very cutely on a cushion with a spotlight.
Creepy room, Nanny. You need more light when you're sewing also, I would say.
She's probably got like a little like light right above the sewing machine.
Yeah, I guess so. Setting it up that way. Nanny's got a flair for the dramatic.
Yeah, look what I fucking did.
Well,
You're welcome.
She used to be an accordion player, so
yeah,
she's got stage experience.
What? Oh, I was like, how does that apply to sewing? But no, to the flair for the dramatic.
Yeah.
Gonzo breaks down in tears because Camilla is okay. They all come back to the nursery where Animal, who they all just forgot about and left in the nursery by himself, is about to drive a car down a ramp.
Yeah. Animal wouldn't feel remorse if he killed anyone, though, I don't think.
Yeah, he's a bit too young to understand consequences. Gonzo jumps in, though, to stop him because it's unsafe and he's too little. And not only that, we're all too little to do something like this.
Yes.
And that's when Kermit turns to Nanny and says, gee, Nanny, looks like we got 2 miracles in one day.
Praise the Lord.
yeah, that's how this ends. They all, amen.
They get to their knees and start praying, yeah.
But yeah, Gonzo himself says it's always better to play it safe, and that's how we wrap up the episode. An actual applicable lesson that didn't come out of nowhere.
And Gonzo never forgets that lesson his entire life.
Hey, we never seen anything bad happen to him, right?
Well, inside of his head, he's like, I've got the bloodlust now. I must continue to hurt myself as badly as possible, but lie to the outside world.
Nanny on her deathbed was writing him letters like, I wish you would stop. I tried to stop you so many times.
You ate an entire tire, Gonzo.
I'm watching you on TV.
So disappointed in you.
You have not made me proud. Well, the go bye-bye in this episode makes sense if you remember something that we didn't mention. Is that Gonzo suggests to Animal that they play Tiddlywinks instead of racing cars down ramps. Mm-hmm. And so this is Gonzo walking around a giant game of Tiddlywinks when Animal scares him and he gets stuck in the Tiddlywinks cup, I guess is what you would call that.
I don't really understand perhaps how Tiddlywinks works.
I think you flick one little disc with the other and try to bounce them up into the cup.
We don't need it anymore though, right?
No, I think they got rid of it in the 60s.
Yeah, Tiddlywinks is over. Someday on Board Game Geeks, I'll turn it on and Tiddlywinks will be number 1.
Yeah, we ran out of other ideas, so this is the good one again. Everyone, we're back to Tiddlywinks.
Let's see. Tiddlywinks is on Board Game Geek. It is ranked 30,000th in all games, 30,383rd, and let's see how many games there are total. This list is only 30,428 entries long, so it's actually 100 from the bottom. Chutes and Ladders.
Oh, that's the
worst game of all time.
There's got to be way worse board games out there. I've seen board games in comic book shops and things. I could walk in and point to a box now that's like, this is definitely worse than Chutes and Ladders.
Guess what the second worst game is?
Candyland?
That's
Life?
The third worst game is Candyland.
Stratego?
No, none of those. Life's got to be here somewhere. But yeah, it's even more basic than that. Like a caveman
Monopoly
can play this game. No.
Checkers.
No, a caveman.
Hit other people in the face.
You can play this game with a stick and dirt.
Draw circles? I don't know.
Yeah, that's part of the game, Matt. Tic-tac-toe.
Oh, okay.
Tic-tac-toe is the second worst game of all time. It also says you can buy tic-tac-toe on Amazon for $14.
That's too much, Amazon.
It should
be free. Buy tic-tac-toe for like 1 penny.
It should be free. The 5th worst game of all time is bingo. That couldn't possibly be true.
See, this is how I feel when other board game players come over to my house and all my board games are this basic ass shit because that's what I like playing. So I don't like spending 8 hours reading a rule book.
Monopoly is the 30,423rd.
There we go. Yes, that is what my game closet is. Life, Stratego, Monopoly, Disney Seen It, this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's
wrong
fun.
Too. Both ways are incorrect. You shouldn't play board games. That's the truth.
You play board games weekly.
I love board games, but you shouldn't play them. They're bad for you. The Game of Life is the 8th worst game of all time.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
You can't have a spinner that good with that kind of and be that bad.
Matt, do you want to know what the best game of all time is?
What is it?
Brass Birmingham.
I knew it. I was like, it's going to be some shit I've never heard of. It's going to have 30 expansion packs you can buy. It's going to take you 14 hours to complete it. And you're going to need to buy a new dining table that can hold it.
You're all in for $75, Matt. You're playing the #1 best game of all time.
Patreon.
We'll do a live play of Brass Birmingham. I wouldn't play it. You couldn't. You would with a gun.
It's the best game of all time.
With a gun to my head, I wouldn't play Brass Birmingham. I'm so sorry.
But it's about accruing the most victory points by building mines, cotton factories, ports, canals, and rail links while establishing trade routes.
That's every game.
Yep.
Go fuck yourself. That's every game. My favorite game of all time is Root, and it's 34th, Matt. So suck on that. Your most favorite game is 10,000 times worse than my favorite game.
Well, the second episode we watched this week was from November 4th, 1989. Skeeter and the Wolf, also written by Hank Soroyan. This one is less coherent.
I think
than
this
the
episode
last one.
Fucking sucks.
I think this episode is trying really hard to do something and is missing the mark in a lot of ways. It's a symphony-based episode, but as Sam said, it's like the wordiest retelling of this symphony. And they also don't feature a traditional Muppet Babies musical number at all.
That's weird. That's weird in an episode that's about music where the whole entire episode, one of the main characters is saying, I'm writing my masterpiece.
Yeah. And at the end, we just get that's nice.
Yeah.
Like,
do we hear the masterpiece?
No.
Is that what they're No. Yeah. Okay. And they're not even playing Peter and the Wolf this time. Isn't that public? It's like a public domain Peter and the Wolf.
At the time, it wouldn't have been public domain.
Why? It wouldn't?
It would only be like 50 years out.
Peter and the Wolf?
Yeah.
That's from like the 1800s, right?
No.
1936.
There we go.
Wow. It
So,
wasn't
like
public
53
domain.
years before this. So
We're not paying for Peter and the Wolf.
No.
Okay, so that's why. I thought this was old as hell.
It is old as hell, but it's not quite as old as hell.
Not old as hell.
This episode kicks off with all the babies playing some games and toys, and Rolf's going around with a wagon, handing out random musical instruments to everyone, who they all seem to be very confused, but a little delighted.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Rolf's engaging with us.
And Rolf has something to do.
Yeah.
Even though very quickly they're going to be like, we don't care about you at all.
Completely sidelined in this episode.
Actually
working on completely different music than all the rest of the babies are even talking about or thinking about.
Yeah. Rolf finally reveals that the kids should all be practicing with their instruments because he's writing a symphony, which I don't know if he ever states it explicitly, but I guess will include all of them.
Yes. It has
Maybe it's
to.
implied because he doesn't have other friends.
I don't know anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. And the babies, are like, you write a symphony? Sure you are.
That's so mean. Why do they do that?
I don't know. Their friends can be race car drivers, but he can't write a symphony.
They also kind of like, once they learn more about symphonies, they're like, that sounds stupid.
Yeah. But Nanny defends Rolf, saying, well, Mozart wrote his first symphony when he was about 9.
And Rolf's like 0.
Yeah.
That's a way to go.
And it's also true because Mozart was 8, which I guess is about 9.
This is right around the same time frame, yeah.
And this is when Rolf tells them, well, a symphony is sort of like a musical play, but not like Annie. because you don't say anything. There's just music.
And that's when the babies are like, well, fuck that then. We will not. How can you tell a story?
Right. And so Nanny jumps in again to say, Rolf's right. There's a thing called Peter and the Wolf, and I had the record when I was a kid. And I've also got some funny instruments up in the attic. You guys should get those.
I did like this version of Nanny interacting with them better than usual, because like she's in there doing something.
Right.
She has her eyes on the babies. She's changing their beds. And usually she just walks in and be like, hey, what the fuck are you little losers talking about? All right. That sounds boring. I'm getting
I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
We are learning more about Nanny's childhood. She was into Shirley Temple. She's into Peter and the Wolf. Like, at some point, we can probably pinpoint how old Nanny is.
She likes Rolf best, right? I think she likes Rolf best. She likes Animal quite a bit, too.
I think she likes Animal better in the like, ooh, new baby. I have to take care of him. He needs me more than the other ones do.
Could be. Okay, yeah.
And maybe it's the opposite where Rolf needs her the least.
Yeah.
And so she's like, Rolf and I can hang.
Yeah,
we can eat lunch, and I don't have to worry about him throwing himself off the table or something.
Yes, he's like the old soul baby who can have like a conversation with adults.
Yeah. Hey, Nanny, you know Jimmy Dean? I have this weird memory in my brain about Jimmy Dean. Erase. Hit the button. Well, Nanny comes back to reveal that, unfortunately, she went up to get the record and the instruments from the attic, but the light burned out in the attic, so she can't find them.
And she's got work to do, too.
Yeah, right? I got work to do, kids. Leave me alone. Except not quite yet, because Fozzie asks Nanny to tell them the story of Peter and the Wolf instead. So Nanny kicks off the story by telling us that Peter was adventurous and athletic, just like Skeeter. And he lived out in the woods with his grandfather. To which Animal says, ooh, Grandpa. Which I thought meant we were going to see Animal dressed up as a grandpa.
Yeah. No.
But that just doesn't come up ever.
He just wishes he had a grandpa or any family to speak of.
He misses his family.
Yeah.
So Nanny starts to tell us the story, starting off with Peter loved to play in the woods, even though there was a deadly wolf that lived nearby.
That's the story, right?
Yeah, but again, introducing concepts to children in, I'd say, questionable ways.
They should have got the baby storyteller in this episode. Little guy with big ears.
That'd be very, very cute or horrifying.
Or really creepy, yeah.
So in the story, Peter sneaks out against his grandpa's wishes to visit the woods, hangs out with his animal friends, a little bluebird played by Gonzo, the family duck played by Fozzie, the old tomcat played by a nude Scooter.
He was so naked.
So naked.
I mean, they all were. And actually, Gonzo had lots of clothes on.
Gonzo was like a hat, a scarf, and a coat. Like he is
fully dressed,
the most dressed bird you've ever seen. But yes, Fozzie is a duck, and he's naked. But it's like
he's naked too. But Fozzie's usually naked. So
well, something about
not baby Fozzie, but like it's just not weird. There's feathers.
Well, and it's like a Donald Duck, Daffy Duck situation where you're like you see the duck Fozzie, and you're like that's fine. He can be naked.
Yeah, duck can be naked.
Scooter Cat just looks like Scooter with whiskers and pointy ears. Like
Did he
his
have a
body
collar on or anything?
No.
If he had the collar, it would have been helpful, I think.
Absolutely. His body is shaped not that differently from what you would imagine Scooter's body is actually shaped like.
He doesn't have a cat nose or anything. He's just got a scooter nose.
Yep.
So yeah, he's just naked and crawling around on all fours.
But you're right. It is that way of like, you take off Scooby-Doo's collar and you're like, ugh, why does this look weird?
Yeah. There's a part when Bird Gonzo's pushing on the butt of Cat Scooter, and it's kind of like, ugh.
Don't touch his butt. It's naked.
I know what cat butts are like, and also this seems to be a naked child.
Well, a lot of time in this episode is spent on just explaining who plays who and why.
Yeah, that's basically the entire thing.
But then Nanny leans in hard and says, it wasn't hard for the wolf to figure out who would be the easiest to catch.
Awesome, yeah. She likes Fozzie the least. Who doesn't like Fozzie the least? She just respects him the least.
He's the most expendable.
Yeah.
And our second death of the week, Fozzie the duck is devoured by a wolf.
Does he come back or anything? No, because then he even kind of dies in the later fantasy that they have. Too. Yeah, Fozzie dies twice in this episode.
Yeah, we hear baby Fozzie cry out, like, help! And then you see feathers on the ground, and Nanny says, before Peter and the others could do anything about it, the silly old duck was gone.
Too bad.
And Animal sadly goes, bye-bye? She says, yeah, bye-bye.
Wow, reframing a classic catchphrase to be about death.
Yeah. The ultimate bye-bye. Well, Nanny tells us that Peter now figured out a plan to get the wolf. But would you look at the time? I've got work to do. Let's just listen to this story later.
Took you 2 minutes to tell that much of the story, Nanny.
Also, there's like 5 seconds of story left.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Say, they catch the wolf.
They found a blanket. They caught the wolf. The end. You could say it as you walk out the door.
Yeah. Leave him hanging, though. Leave him wanting more. She's a showman.
That's right. I forgot. Well, instead, she leaves the babies alone, and Skeeter decides they don't need to wait for Nanny because we have flashlights.
She's like, I have a record and I have some weird old instruments in the
Which
attic.
I guess means accordion.
An accordion is weird, I suppose.
I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Because Rolf's already handing out a bunch of random instruments, like a duck call and a horn and all this stuff.
I'm kind of picturing her as like maybe we even talked about this before, like a retired vaudevillian, and maybe she's got like a slide whistle up there, and she's got like a wood block or something, like all the stuff that can make the silliest noises.
Nanny used to travel the country in a wagon trying to bring her act around town.
Well, maybe her dad was, and she was like Nanny, the one-man band or something like that. Yes, her dad, Manny.
Well, because they thought of flashlights, even though Nanny didn't, the babies head up to the attic. And again, this is where Skeeter says, let's go rescue Peter and the wolf from the attic and make Nanny proud of us. The kids start to pack up and go, sort of in batches. We get Scooter, Skeeter, Gonzo, and Fozzie, because they were the characters in the story, who head out first. And then Kermit and Piggy are like, yeah, we should go too. And so they head out just a hair behind the other batch.
Kind of confusing. It comes around, I guess, but...
Yeah, it's necessary to the plot. In the moment, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And also in the moment, they just turn and go, bye, Rolf. See ya, Animal.
No, don't even ask if they want to come or anything.
No, we just see Rolf and Animal standing there, and they go, bye. And, like, you could have said, oh, Rolf, Rolf's going to stay here and work on his symphony.
Yeah.
And then Animal, it's too scary up there for babies. You stay here. But they don't bother with that. They just say, bye, Rolf. Bye, Animal.
Oh, I guess we can just go fuck ourselves.
There's like a 2-shot of them both just like watching the other babies walk away that you're just like, wow, they really just literally wrote them off in this episode this week.
Rolf was the reason any of this is happening.
Yeah. So the kids head up the stairs to the attic, which of course leads to them imagining they are Peter and friends headed through the woods. But Kermit and Piggy were lagging behind and are trying to catch up and find the other kids. So they reach the attic at different times. They end up bumping into an accordion, which scares the kids who are further ahead into thinking that the wolf is after them. Well, we cut back to Animal and Rolf, and we have a new nickname alert as Animal approaches and says, what doing, Rolfie?
Oh, he calls him Rolfie lots of times in this one, too.
Rolf tells him he's working on his symphony. Animal honks a horn, scaring Rolf, which gives him the idea to make Animal the lion in his symphony because it's the loudest part. And Animal's excited by this, not only to be included, but also because he has a new loud talent. And so he decides to head off to the attic as well.
Why do they do the part where Rolf's like, take the bulb off of the horn? What is that?
I think it lets him be a little louder. Instead of like honking it, he gets like yell through it like a megaphone.
Okay. Just seems stupid. Pointless.
Oh, yeah.
Pointless,
sure.
I'd say.
Yeah. But back in the attic, Piggy and Kermit are lugging around the accordion because, as Piggy says, at least we'll have found something.
This episode's lost its way.
Yeah, not as much as the next one, but in ways that it does feel like they're just giving all the babies something to do to fill the time. But I think it's a little bit more clever than the next episode does that.
Well, I just think you could have a Peter and the Wolf episode where either you are retelling Peter and the Wolf and maybe not using words so that Rolf can be like, look, see, I'm right. Yeah. Or you make it
maybe
weird.
The first idea, and then they were talked out of it because they were like, I don't know if babies will actually sit around for that.
For a wordless, I suppose so. I'm surprised babies sit around for any of this stuff.
Well, they all continue to be scared by noises of the accordion and Animal's horn now that he has entered the attic. And for a moment, their flashlight goes out because the bulb is loose. And while the lights are out, Fozzie gets taken out once again.
Yep. Skeeter
plays a signal on her trumpet, which Animal somehow understands and starts playing his horn back to her.
What does she mean she saw? What is she doing, first of all?
She says she saw this in a movie.
What movie is she talking about?
I think it's like the cavalry, like
Like she's trying to get Fozzie to come back or something like that. Is that what's happening? I think
so. Just sending like a signal of like, hey, we're all good. Come hang out.
Okay. Because it sounds like she's signaling to the thing that they're scared of.
I think it's kind of unclear, Sam.
Yeah, they just don't know. They don't know. Yeah. He blew all of his good ideas on that really good episode.
He's like, you can't make me write 2 in a row. I need a rest.
I'm so tired.
Who am I, Jeffrey Scott? Well, Skeeter's got a plan to catch the wolf, and it is, hey, I found this old sheet. In the real story, they use a noose to tie up the wolf by its tail, which I guess maybe is too violent.
They don't show baby Skeeter tying a noose.
Yeah, that's a good call. I don't want to see a screenshot of that. So they just drop the blanket, but they accidentally catch Piggy and Kermit, mostly because there is no wolf to catch. An animal comes in, scares them at the end, letting everyone know, Rolfie says, me lion. Skeeter finds the old record just as Nanny comes into the attic and says, I see you found my old accordion. We don't learn any more about Nanny in that moment other than what we've assumed here.
The accordion matches her clothes, too.
Well, yeah, you gotta. If you're wearing the same outfit every day, clearly you have a taste for some certain
easy
colors.
To make all your accessories match. Yeah.
Well, she says, "I'm not glad you came up here without me, but I'm glad you found the record."
Nanny has sent them up there before by themselves. I know. I'm so sure she has done that.
I don't remember if she has sent them or not.
I think at least once she has sent them to the attic.
Yeah, been like, oh, well, go grab it from the attic, kids.
These episodes take place out of order, though. So this one is before that, in the timeline before that episode.
So you got to do your full edit of the series and make sure you edit everything into the correct order at some point.
I'm doing the chainsaw? The
machete?
The machete cut of the Muppet Babies, yeah.
This is really a bad order to watch these 3 episodes in specifically because you start so high up and you just slowly drive off a cliff. Well, the kids are, happy, I guess, to not be scolded. They do let Nanny know that a wolf ate Fozzie.
Yeah, he's dead. Sorry.
Turns out she knows where Fozzie is. He got scared and ran back to the nursery. And they're all like, yay, Fozzie didn't die.
Not treated with the same weight as when they thought a stuffed animal died.
No, there is not. I mean, hell, when they thought the duck died in the story.
Yeah, that's true.
There was more like, go bye-bye?
Yeah.
This is just like, oh, again? Like, Fozzie, you can't die twice in an episode. We can only care so much. But this episode wraps up in sort of an unconventional Muppet Babies kind of way where it feels very cheesy sitcom-y, where Nanny is like, I just made hot chocolate for everyone. Let's go listen to Peter and the Wolf. And then...
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds great.
Yeah, but then she also is like, oh yeah, and Rolf, I can't wait to listen to your symphony. We don't get to hear it. Yeah. We don't get to know if he completed it. We don't learn anything more about Rolf's symphony.
Yeah,
we just know.
Rolf's like, this was supposed to be my episode. You promised.
Yeah. Rolf read his script and was like, hey, I'm the first person talking in this one.
I
can't wait.
It, though, yeah.
I get to write a symphony. This is going to be amazing. There'll be a great musical number. I'll share my symphony with everyone.
Yeah, actually.
This is going to be amazing.
We had to cut the song this episode. Oh, the episode about music. Okay, interesting. So all the babies, like, as their characters in the story are walking back to the hut with the wolf tied up.
Yeah.
And then they have the wolf, like, tied up in front of them, and they're all standing around it, looking at it in the cabin. Like, what are they going to do to it?
Eat it?
Yeah, they all take out their long knives. And then it cuts to black. The go bye-bye was too violent to show again. It was removed.
Yeah, it was just like a roasted wolf cooking over a fire. It's an uncut 20-second shot of that.
Yeah, an animal has its blood smeared on its face.
I mean, the original, the narrator says that careful listeners can hear the duck still quacking inside the wolf's belly.
Yeah, so the duck has a happier ending in this sad Russian folktale than it does in the episode of Muppet Babies. Yeah. Muppet Babies is the new Brothers Grimm.
But yes, that episode, not nearly as good. I think if that had come in the middle of a normal batch of Muppet Babies episodes, we wouldn't think so hard about it. But because it came after the only good episode of Muppet Babies, we're going to judge it a little bit more harshly.
It's like a perfect gradient of very good, and then this episode starts out pretty good, and then by the end, it's like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. And then the next one continues the what are you guys doing? Yeah,
speaking of what are you guys doing, the last episode this week is Romancing the Weirdo from November 11th, 1989.
He's back. Daddy's home.
Daddy's home, everybody.
You think he said that when he walked in the door of the writer's room?
And then he's like, who are you? Yes, the man who wrote the first 3 seasons of this show, Jeffrey Scott, returns for his not last, but his second to last Muppet Babies episode.
My children, I'm back to babysit them. He probably said a lot of stuff like that, I bet.
I am the one who decided to throw tomatoes at Fozzie. Yeah, we know,
we
Jeffrey.
Don't do that anymore. The minute you left, we got rid of all the stuff you used to do.
Well, he says, don't worry, I'm bringing all of it back in this episode, and I'm going to undo both lessons from the previous 2 episodes in 5 seconds.
How many times you shot a baby out of a torpedo tube in the last few episodes seasons, huh?
But he does just that because this episode starts off with Gonzo and Animal. You know those guys who learned their lesson about doing things safely and not going into the attic alone? Well, they're bringing down a box from the attic. They drop the box into the wagon, and then Gonzo rides that box and crashes into the nursery door.
Killing Camilla all over again. But nobody
Literally,
cares this time.
The last 2 episodes spent 40 minutes teaching us to not do these things. And we spend 5 seconds going, fuck it.
What are the odds that it would start that way? No, what the hell?
Maybe he read the last 2 scripts because they were like, oh, welcome back, Jeffrey. This is what we're currently working on if you want to see. He's like, okay, sure. Yeah, we don't learn lessons here on Muppet Babies. I think I got through 3 seasons teaching lessons.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Cheap when you're a Muppet Baby. Are you fucking kidding me?
If I teach lessons, we don't have an episode next week, all right? So they bring this top secret dangerous box into the nursery, opening it to reveal an old typewriter.
Back then, not as old a typewriter. It was just, maybe back then, just a typewriter.
Yeah, a thing that maybe the baby shouldn't be as confused by because computers fairly new to have in the home.
Yeah.
Typewriters, I assume some people's
parents were still using typewriters, I think, to some degree.
They don't have those.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They don't have parents, so never mind.
Yeah. So Rolf thinks it's a player piano. Fozzie thinks it's a sock ironing machine because he's a dumb idiot.
He's an idiot, yeah.
Bring back his dunce cap. And Gonzo thinks it's a mission control panel for NASA. But Nanny comes in and says, where'd you get this? Gonzo's like, we went to Mars, Nanny. And she says, you've got such a great imagination. You should be a writer, like the people who use typewriters.
Dude couldn't think of anything to make an episode about.
Oh,
he looked in the mirror.
This whole episode is just a mirror. They invited him back and he's like, sure, that sounds fun. Oh, no.
What do I do?
I have no ideas. What if I wrote an episode about getting writer's block? And then what if I write the next line here where Gonzo says, is it hard to be a writer, Nanny?
Yeah.
And she says, it's very simple, Gonzo.
It's so easy. Yeah, he looks around his room. He has a Romancing the Stone movie poster. He's got a Maltese Falcon movie poster. And that's as far as he gets, just like Gonzo.
And then he has a Fafner Hall moment where he's like, it'd be really convenient here. Time travel. Let's introduce time travel into this. But yes, Kermit suggests that Gonzo, who now has decided he is going to be a writer, look around the nursery and write what he knows. And so he decides he's going to write Romancing the Weirdo by F. Scott Gonzo. Or Jeff Scott Gonzo, I think is what he says.
Yeah, this guy can't write any more scripts. They got to let him go.
So we're brought into the offices of the world's greatest detective, Philip Samuel Marlowe.
Oh, is it because his
Spade.
name's Jeffrey? Like the writer of the episode?
Oh, fuck. God damn it.
Jeffrey Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
God
you.
Damn it. This is the complete opposite moment of our Jerry Jewell, Jerome Crystal moment that we had with Doc. This is Jeffrey Scott.
This is the evil version of it. Jeff Scott Fitzgerald.
I'm so mad.
So stupid.
Yes, because I didn't even write it down because I didn't think it was a joke.
Yeah.
Because Gonzo starts typing and he says, Romancing the Weirdo by F. Scott Gonzo. Or maybe Jeff Scott Gonzo. And I was like, okay. Whatever.
Right. F and Jeff rhyme.
But that's his freaking name.
That's his name.
God damn it.
He's back, baby. He's putting his mark on the Muppet Babies.
You think Hank Soroyan was like, all right, yeah, we'll call you, Jeffrey. Maybe next season you get to do one.
Yeah.
But I don't think you get to come back full time.
I would like to know I'd like to know the circumstances behind any of this show at all, but
yeah, there's an interview that's linked on Muppet Wiki with Jeffrey Scott that is more about his larger career, but doesn't actually talk about Muppet Babies that much. So it's not that enlightening to the many, many, many questions we would ask Jeffrey Scott if he was ever on this show.
Jeff, I'm not actually mad at you for writing that joke. It's just a little bit weird, you know? I don't really think
he saw his chance.
Guy.
He was like, this is my maybe one chance to write another Muppet Babies episode. I saw, Jerry Jewell did this fun thing with Fraggle Rock. So what if I just inserted myself into the plot a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine there's a certain amount of like disassociating and insane you have to drive yourself to write an episode of Muppet Babies.
I mean, it is even more telling, though, the idea that not only is Jeffrey Scott writing the story, but within the story, Jeff Scott is maybe also the one who is struggling with writer's block.
That's right. Yeah.
There's two Jeffrey Scotts currently struggling with writer's block. This is the 80s version of adaptation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
But we get a noir story here where all the stakes are imaginary as we enter the world's greatest detective's office of Philip Samuel Marlowe Spade. Piggy comes in to hire Gonzo to find her uncle, an archaeologist that looks a lot like a really old Kermit, who disappeared while trying to find the legendary Emerald Weirdo.
You know what also really bothered me about this episode? Well, so there's one joke that's really funny where I don't even know if it's a joke or whatever, but they're talking about
Jeff Scott.
That was it. That was the one that cracked my ass up. They're talking about writing books, and Rolf is like, "Oh yeah, letters are like all those symbols in the books we can't read."
I did like that as well.
And then they're trying to write. This whole episode is about using a typewriter. None of the babies can spell or write anything. Okay, this is bringing it back to what Scooter can read. If he can use a computer, he can.
To be fair, yes. He even mentions in this that he's going to type for Gonzo like he does on his computer.
Right.
But like, I guess we've never seen an explicit. He's never typed out like a happy birthday nanny banner. Like we've never seen him write words, but he does do a lot of work on the computer if he doesn't know how to read.
And you can, there's symbols, of course, on a computer, but I don't think you could really operate a computer, especially as often as he does without knowing how to read.
No. Well, Piggy gets upset that Gonzo is going through her dresser for some reason at the end of this imagination scene.
Oh, yeah. This is part. Okay. Are you going to say what he says?
Yep.
Okay.
She's like, why are you going through my dresser? And his defense is, I was just sniffing around for a few story ideas.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say you're sniffing around.
In someone's dresser.
In the person who you have an unrequited crush on and you're a total creep to most of the time. Sniffing around.
Yeah. I'm also confused because when he started the story, he had just sat next to Piggy because she bopped him in the nose and put like lipstick on his nose.
Yeah.
And then he sat down to start writing. But now he's going through the dresser and there's no clothing involved in the plot of the story that he's writing.
No.
So I'm not sure what he is supposed to be doing in this and why he's going through the dresser.
Yeah, he distracted everybody so he could go be a creep.
Yeah. There's a lot of my notes for this episode are, why is this happening? Or why did this happen? Like, because this just happened, which says this shouldn't happen, but they did it anyways.
Hey, well, you know what? We're back in the old days, man. It's this trip down memory lane.
I'm so much more angry than I was 20 minutes ago.
We have to remember how good we have it now.
Well, he's working on chapter 2 of his book, where Piggy and Gonzo arrive in a jungle looking for her uncle. They attempt to swing across a vine, but it turns out to be Animal Conda's tail, a snake-animal hybrid. And then they also encounter Piranimal and a spider animal whose name I couldn't understand.
Did they say? He said it, yeah. But I also could not understand
He says something, but no words that my brain knows about spiders sounded like what he said.
I guess he could, maybe he could say like tarantula animal or something.
Tyrannimal?
Yeah.
Maybe he says tyrannimal or arachnimal or something. I don't know. It doesn't sound like anything, and the audio quality on these is like pretty terrible, so I didn't care enough to listen like 5 times and try to figure it out. But it turns out the spider web he is trapped in is actually the typewriter ribbon that he has ripped out of the typewriter and is beating up for some reason. As he's beating it up, Rolf walks over and says, "Are you okay, Gonzo?" And he says, yes,
Okay.
but this typewriter's got worms. And we get to a close-up of Rolf, who just goes, oh.
Raw, yeah. Because dogs get worms in their
Dogs
butts.
get worms. And so Rolf's the only one in the nursery who understands what that typewriter's going through. Gonzo returns to writing without a ribbon, I guess. They don't address that at all.
Is it so weird that the same thing happens to him twice in this episode with 2 different black strips of stuff? Okay. I thought that was so bizarre.
It's very weird. It's almost like somebody had writer's block when they were trying to write this episode. So chapter 3 of Gonzo's book, he's already running out of ideas and just starts to say over and over that they continue traveling, and then they continue traveling.
It's like freaking Lord of the Rings, am I right?
But instead of looking up and seeing Mount Doom, they look up and see a giant wooden block, and it's writer's block. It's the thing that happens when writers run out of ideas and can only think about playing with blocks. And we come back from commercial to a very, very telling moment. Once again, Gonzo is catching us up, and Piggy says, we'll never get past this. We'll be stuck in this stupid story forever, which is a thing she said right before the commercial break.
Yeah, right.
And she says, didn't I say that already? And Gonzo
Jeffrey,
replies, not a good sign.
Jeffrey, what are you doing? It's like a commentary of his time on the first 3 seasons of Muppet Babies, but I don't think it's on purpose. But maybe it is, and he's a genius.
There's only 2 ways to go with it.
Yeah.
But Sam, the next thing I think is maybe what makes me the angriest of the whole episode. Because Gonzo presents that there's only one way to get around writer's block. Writer's termites. He lets them loose. They eat a doorway through the block, and Piggy and Gonzo walk down some stairs through the writer's block.
Okay.
Cut to, for some reason, a loud crash in the closet.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
Gonzo falls out and explains to Rolf that he still has writer's block.
Yeah, he tried. He tried to fake it till he made it. But what happened in the closet, and where's Piggy?
Well, I think Piggy was a reluctant player in this imagination sequence. I think this was Gonzo's version of Piggy. She has walked
she's not
away.
There. Yeah. You're right. She was never there to begin with.
No. She was just in the story. That
Piggy's
Gonzo
not even in the
writing.
house today. Piggy's out.
She's at ballet
She's
class
at the
or whatever.
dentist or something. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure why. Like Gonzo finds a solution to his problem, and it leads to a loud banging noise, and then him saying he still has writer's block. Like we literally just.
I know
said,
why though.
Why?
You don't understand. It's because Jeffrey Scott wrote this episode.
Oh, right. Sorry, Sam. I keep forgetting. So we quickly move on. Rolf suggests a different way of writing to keep the episode going. He suggests that I don't even remember what Rolf suggests.
That Gonzo, he just says try something different,
yes.
And then Gonzo's like, okay, thanks for nothing. And then Skeeter
he says I'll skywrite it, and they show a quick thing that's skywriting that writes the words blue F.
Blue F. Yeah.
And then nothing happens with that. Maybe it was going to be Blue Angels, and that was an A.
I guess so. It
But
just
the
said
Blue Angels-
blue.
Yeah.
So they've had that piece of B-roll forever, and they were trying to figure out when to use it.
Blue Freak.
I don't know.
So Skeeter comes in suggesting that he use a tape recorder to write instead. And so Gonzo rips Kermit's favorite tape out of the recorder, which leads to another pile
all
of
over him, just
black
like
string.
Just like the tape did from the ribbon did from the typewriter. Why?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. It's not like a callback or anything. Like if it happened a third time, then it might
Right.
be something, but it doesn't.
No, this is just a moment to make Kermit really sad.
Yeah, yeah, that was my favorite tape. Nobody mourns that like they did when Camilla died. A
No.
bunch of similar things have happened to all the babies all the time.
So it is time for chapter 4.
That was the tape.
Where-
That was the last message my parents left me.
Dear Kermit, take care of your nephew Robin. And you know what? I think you have it into you to be a real leader someday.
Yeah.
But, now Kermit will never hear those words again
Nope.
because the tape recorder and the tape are both ruined. So for chapter 4, Scooter suggests that Gonzo just talks and he'll type for him.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, Gonzo decides to know everything there is to know about writing and is going to throw around a bunch of fancy terms at us that no baby would understand. But Gonzo decides to be clever and says he's going to use writer's prerogative to just ask the writer to insert Kermit into the story now instead of them having to do anything interesting or solve any problems to actually find the missing uncle.
Yeah, because it's a Jeffrey Scott episode.
But thankfully for the show, not for us, They added an Escher staircase scene here to slow them down a little bit and prolong the episode. So Gonzo just walks up and finds the emerald weirdo, but Piggy picks it up immediately and starts to feel weird, squishing and stretching and blowing bubbles. Hands it to Kermit, who also starts to weirdo out and bounce around. It gets handed back to Gonzo, who at first thinks he's just fine because he's already weird enough, but then he also starts to stretch out in a more disturbing way.
Yeah, he gets creepy.
Yeah, his nose spirals out, his eyes shoot off his head, and in the real world, he knocks violently into Scooter, who, for a moment, looks quite dead. His glasses get knocked off, and he just lays there for a moment, and you're like, all right, Scooter, you could move now, please. But we are so back, folks, into the old world of Muppet Babies, because Gonzo says, gee, writing is complicated.
Fuck yes.
And we hear an old familiar grunt as Rolf pushes himself and his piano into the story, saying, I'll say, writing stories is just like writing songs. Here, I'll show you.
Is it anything like that?
Well, it's not, because after that moment, they sing a whole song about how fun it is to write, actually.
This song is so funny.
The thing they say before the song is, writing is complicated. And then Rolf says, I'll say. And then they both go, it's fun to write.
Well, complicated and fun can be the same, I suppose. But I think in the song a little bit, Gonzo is like, I don't know what I'm doing. And Rolf is like, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm having a great time.
Yeah. I don't know what they're trying to do here.
No, it's Gonzo sings a verse about writing a story, and Rolf sings a verse about writing a song. At one point, they're like, I'll trade you a note for a letter. And they're like, okay, let's smash them together. But they never actually do. They don't do anything in this whole song, basically.
No, and
they don't teach you how to write a story. They don't teach you how to write a song. They don't explain.
It has old school Muppet Babies lyrics like, every little note is magic, every little chord is a song. Do re mi fa la la. It's fun to write. But apparently not for the writers of this song.
No, they wrote this like an hour before it was due, probably.
So somehow after that, Gonzo decides to write Beethoven's Fifth Symphony in the key of J. He's abandoned his story, I guess.
Jeffrey, you've done it again.
So he starts to play the typewriter as he's writing, and it starts to sound sort of like the Indiana Jones theme, which did remind me that it's been forever since we've seen Indiana Frog, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
But Kermit walks up and says, Gonzo, you're hurting my ears. And Gonzo says, sorry, I didn't know you had ears.
A character who doesn't have ears saying that to another character with no ears, but whatever.
He's got those little things on top of his head.
Oh, you think those are ears?
They're antenna of some sort.
Yeah, they are. They're picking up something, you're right.
I guess they're more feathers.
When he grows up, they look less like antenna, but as a baby, they definitely are antenna.
And I feel like he's tuned them in a way where he's like pretended to be an alien and like used them as antennas.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, Gonzo decides now all he needs is his fairy tale ending where the weirdo gets the girl. And this is another part where he says, I'm going to use poetic license to add a footnote to chapter 4. I just hate how at the beginning of this, he didn't know what a typewriter was and had to have like writing explained to him and how difficult or easy it was.
And now he's been fully inhabited by the spirit of Jeffrey Scott.
Yeah, Jeffrey forgot he wasn't writing his biography here and was instead writing for a baby animal thing. And Gonzo goes from knowing nothing to suddenly knowing about writer's prerogative and poetic license immediately. So he uses his time-traveling typewriter, which he has now, to go back to the moment Piggy came in to hire him and just brings her the emerald weirdo. Not solving the problem, which was her uncle was missing.
Yeah, the uncle's still gone. She didn't care much about the weirdo.
When he time travels back and he's like, oh, I'm time traveling back to the moment Piggy comes in to hire me. I'm like, okay, so what you should have now is the exact same scene you had earlier of Piggy coming in being like, hello, I want to hire you, all this stuff, but then solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What we get is a Piggy who is aware that they've done this before.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm still waiting for my uncle.
That's not how you do time travel.
He's a baby. And the other guy's Jeffrey Scott. They don't know.
He's never coming on this podcast. But this works for Piggy because In the story, Gonzo is writing it, and she falls in love with him. But in the real world, Piggy sort of throws his pages back at him and says, I suggest you check for typos.
Yes, she hates his shit.
So he falls to the ground, kissing his pages, until Animal walks up and eats part of his book.
But it doesn't matter because it's all nonsense anyway written on the pages.
But Nanny comes in, and unlike Rolf, Nanny actually cares what Gonzo is doing creatively.
Yeah.
And so Gonzo offers to read the story to Nanny, which causes all the other kids to groan. But Nanny's like, no, let's go sit down over here by the window. And he starts to read the story again, which according to the clock on the wall, which they feel like showing us, takes an hour and 15 minutes.
No, that's too long. And the babies are standing the entire time.
Well, at the end, they're all booing and like holding their noses and gagging and stuff.
It sucks. I like that
like,
before
we had to
he
hear this
starts
twice.
I like that before he starts reading it, he shuffles all the pages together like a deck of cards. I think that was pretty fun.
Which I thought would be fun if they had done anything with it, Sam.
He can't write. There's nothing written on any of the pages.
But in this fiction, if he had picked up the piece of paper and said, all right, chapter 7.
Yeah.
Like if he had started not at the beginning.
Like Star Wars.
Precisely.
Yes.
But instead he just is like, oh no, chapter 1, the pig walks in to hire the detective. And I'm like, okay, so he shuffled them and then that didn't matter at all.
Because he can't read. It doesn't matter
I know.
Okay.
But in this fantasy world, I feel like it's more Gonzo.
Yeah.
To suddenly jump around in his story rather than actually read Nanny a story that was interesting and coherent for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. To do like a cut up or whatever those are called. Yeah. Chop it all up, put it all back together in a different way.
Well, at the end, Nanny's like, wow, where did you get all those ideas? At this point, the babies are still full on hating this.
Yeah.
Until Gonzo tells Nanny, I got them from the other babies.
He didn't really.
I mean,
did he?
No.
None of the ideas for the story came from the other babies.
Not that we saw. I mean, I guess in the hour and 15-minute version, which thankfully we were spared, maybe there's more about the symphony.
Oh, yeah. You think there's an
Beethoven
uncut version of this episode that's feature film length.
Yeah. There's actually a 3-hour cut of this where we hear Gonzo's story in real time as he's telling it to us. Well, the kids now love his book because they're involved. And they all run off to write their own story. Rolf says, how about a story about a dog? Because that's all he's got.
He's only got 2 things.
I got a piano and I'm a dog.
And I'm a dog. Which is all he's got when he grows up, too.
Yeah.
It's just more annoying when he's a baby for some reason.
But Piggy ignores him and decides to write The Frog in the Hat by Dr. Piggy.
Jeffrey goes out on a high note.
Well, yeah, because it even has the end where Kermit goes, oh, geez. You're like, yep, that's what he would do, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. Kermit's the writer also in the world of the Muppets, right? We've seen him at a typewriter much more than any of the other guys.
Well, we have in Little Muppet Monsters on a typewriter and an unaired episode of a television show that nobody watched.
You're right.
But the GIF is out there. The GIF is more popular than that show of Kermit at a typewriter when he's writing his mystery cartoon series.
Yeah.
But the Go Bye Bye is a giant typewriter where Animal is trying to kill Gonzo.
He's actually trying to kill him.
Yep.
Gonzo's like, you wouldn't do it, would you? And Animal's like, absolutely, I would.
Yeah.
You will die.
Oh, but that does it for another week of Muppet Babies, Sam.
It's getting to me, Matt. The good one made the rest of them worse, actually.
It kind of did. To know that we've watched 82 of these now, and
Matt, we've watched
one
82
has been good.
Have we really watched 82 episodes of this?
We have.
This is like, I don't think I've watched more episodes of any show. I don't know.
I mean, you've watched 120 episodes of The Muppet Show, so that's just wrong.
There was 120 episodes of The Muppet Show?
Yeah.
Whoa. No wonder we've been doing this podcast for so long. We didn't watch them really
The first episodes we watched 5 at a time.
Almost like it would have been better to watch.
Shh.
Okay.
Then we wouldn't be done with Muppet Babies for like 3 more years.
We watched the most popular thing that the subject matter of our podcast has ever done really fast. That was a smart idea of us to do.
And now we actually have on the horizon, we can see the end of Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
This fall will be Commitment finishes Muppet Babies.
Who will live? Who will die?
hopefully both of us live and then
and
nobody
all
dies.
of the Muppet and all of the Muppet babies. Oh, I thought you meant hopefully both of us die.
However we finish it, at least we finish it.
At least we'll be done, yeah.
Well, Sam, what non-Muppet Babies thing did you get to enjoy this week?
Gosh, I don't think I really did all that much this week that I can remember. I didn't see the Mario movie yet.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
I didn't get to go yet. I played the new Super Mario Wonder DLC, which I might have even talked about last week. That's about it. I like that. We played that game for a second. You didn't like it, but I like that game. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's not my kind of Mario game.
You don't like a 2D side scroller?
I think it overcomplicates the idea of a 2D side scroller. I think
too much going on.
Yeah, if I want a 2D side scroller, I want something more simple.
Your dad mode.
Yeah,
your
totally.
big time dad mode.
Give me my NES Mario any day.
And the DLC is fine. It's just a couple more levels and some like harder challenges and stuff like that. Kind of underwhelmed though. I think it was not that expensive, but still, just sort of okay. But I haven't watched any. I've been watching the Austin Powers movies over again. Maybe I mentioned that already too.
I don't know if you have.
We watched the second one. Well, I'm in a movie club and our theme is Austin Powers right now. So I watched the first one a couple weeks ago, the second one this week. Hey, I think those movies are still pretty good. They're pretty funny. Dr. Evil is very funny. He's a timeless character. And the second one, you can tell, like the first one is very much about Austin Powers. And then the second one is like focusing in on Dr. Evil, which I think the third one continues that trend even more so. They've said all they need to say with Austin.
Well, because he has to team up with Dr. Evil in the third one, right?
In the third one, yeah.
And
they discover their brothers and stuff. Is that right?
Yes, we get a throwback scene of Michael Caine like leaving them both in a car that explodes or something.
Yeah,
I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But there's there's like old footage of Michael Caine from another movie.
But yeah, there I think if you're 30-something years old, it's worth watching the Austin Powers movies again. Maybe if you're any other age, you don't need to watch them.
Yeah.
But
you'll be shocked to see that Beyonce is in Goldmember.
Yeah, she doesn't want you to remember that.
No.
She would rather that you not remember Foxy Cleopatra, please. Mike Myers, you don't see Mike Myers around that much anymore.
But when you do, it's so nice.
But when you do, yeah. He'll come back. He'll put the teeth back in and he'll put the suit back on. He'll be Austin Powers again.
I feel like they've been threatening to do an Austin Powers for years.
I think we need it. Oh, but what have you been watching?
Well, I've been making my way back through the Monsterverse. Something I think I said a while back I wanted to do. And because Monarch is still airing its new season. And I was like, you know what? I kind of haven't watched these in a while. And I know that the connections are tenuous at best between Monarch and the story. But Bill Randa is a character in both of those things. Played by John Goodman in Kong Skull Island. Played by Anders Holm on Monarch.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Where's the tissue here? Where does it connect? And I just shouldn't have, I think, even though I've now rewatched Godzilla, the 2014 one, and the Kong Skull Island.
Yeah.
Both great movies, gotta say.
Right.
Godzilla, I think, is still better than Kong Skull Island, but Kong Skull Island has some great moments in it.
Yeah. But Anders Holmes ain't turning into Fred Flintstone.
My biggest problem with Kong Skull Island is that some of the deaths are so fast and out of nowhere that they become way more comical than scary.
Right.
And like there's very important characters in that movie that they just go, he gets eaten right now. And you're like, what? Out of nowhere? No tension, no nothing. He just gets eaten. And I think they wanted to think you to think oh, anyone could die.
I think they want it to be a little bit funny too, though. Right?
Well, I think that's part of the movie's problem is it's unbalanced because John C. Reilly is like improving and adding jokes to the end of every scene he's in.
Right.
But no one's reacting to them or no one else is being funny in that kind of way. And so I feel like he just got to have a take at the end of every scene that they were like, we might keep some of these in. We might edit some of these out. Yeah. And I think it's 50-50 on whether or not his sections work in the movie. But the deaths, some of the main driving factor for Sam Jackson's character is he wants to rescue this one guy that he is out there lost in the jungle. And at this point, we have kind of forgotten about this guy. He's kind of out there in the jungle. But it cuts back to him and you're like, oh, right, this guy. He's out there by himself. And he's like writing a letter to his son who's at home. And all of a sudden he just turns and something just eats him.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it's so fast that I literally was like, oh, okay. And that happens like 5 more times to other characters who like Kong decides to just like flick a guy to death or like stomp on him that you're like, okay, that guy really didn't, I think, deserve that. But he's holding a gun, so he's the bad guy. But then there's other parts that are so serious and so good that I'm like willing to overlook those.
Yeah.
And it's a very mixed movie where sometimes it feels like it wants to be a Transformers, like the later Kong Godzilla movies kind of get. Like it feels like it wants to be that sometimes.
Big time.
But then there's other moments that are so grounded and real, like that. What makes Godzilla 2014 so good is that it feels very real and not like a cartoon. And I feel like this is landing somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I haven't watched it in a while, so I would need to. But I feel like I like
definitely worth a rewatch.
Mm-hmm. I like when he eats the octopus. I just remember seeing that part and being like, oh yeah, Kong's a little guy.
That part's good.
This guy. Have you watched King of the Monsters again yet?
Not yet. That's obviously that is next on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one I really like. I just don't like the Kong plus Godzilla movies. I think they don't work for some reason.
But the Bill Randa character is just not the same guy.
Yeah,
like
right.
In Kong Skull Island, like it's supposed to be the same guy, but at the beginning of this, he's trying to go to Kong Skull Island, and he's talking about like there's a conversation about Godzilla that somebody is having, and he is clearly a man who has never seen a monster, has only heard of Godzilla,
right?
Is really hoping these things are true, but isn't convinced yet.
Yeah.
And you're like, Bill Randa,
you were part of a whole conspiracy about this.
He's seen Godzilla like 20 times.
Yeah.
He tried to blow him up. He's a big part of this.
This guy hates Godzilla.
Bill Randa's life is spent hunting down giant monsters that he has seen in Monarch. And this Bill Randa by John Goodman is like, gee, I hope I'm right.
It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like watching Rogue One after Andor to some degree, where there are moments in Rogue One where you're kind of like, I don't know if he'd really do that, or like he wasn't quite that sad when we left him last, or something like that.
Well, and also just to give spoilers, I guess, Bill Randa, one of those random, oh shit, I got eaten by a guy kind of things.
Yeah, right.
And he just dies like an idiot because his camera flash starts going off and attracts a monster and it just swallows him whole. And I'm like, that is like one of the most important characters on a TV show that handles death really well. Yeah. And when its characters die, they recently killed off an important character. It's like such a huge, important plot point. And so the idea that like this so important of a character on Monarch just goes on to like randomly get swallowed by a monster is very funny.
Yeah. These prequel shows, they have such an odd tone to them. It's kind of like there's like watching Vampire Diaries or something, and when you know the characters are like gonna die, it feels like sometimes like when they write a character off a show, that character always dies. So you start the show and then you think ahead of like, oh, all these people are gonna die, and then it kind of feels like you're just watching like a snuff film or something like that. You know?
It'd be like they want to write a Star Wars prequel where like it's a very serious teen Jar Jar Binks movie where he's super dramatic and super. You're like, wait, this is the Misa people gonna die guy? What happens to him? How do you go from this to like numbing his face on a pod racer? And that's how they get you to watch the whole series. You got to find out.
They trick you, yeah. It'll all make sense, we promise.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep telling you that ever since like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They've been like, this is all going to tie in later. You're going to be really thankful you watched this.
The last episode of Monarch will just be Bill Randa hitting his head. He's like, oh, man, I don't remember anything.
Well, he like gets in bed and he lays his head down and turns off the light. And then like a bowling ball falls on his head like Fred Flintstone. And then he turns the light back on and he's John Goodman. And he's like, what the fuck?
That'd be very good.
Keep that bowling ball above my bed, but also who am I?
I would love to see John Goodman come back and play like a 10 to 15 years younger version of himself, who's supposed to be like this middle ground version between Kong Skull Island and it's
morphed between Anders Holmes and himself as an old man.
Ooh, I hate that.
They did a lot of that stuff with him in Righteous Gemstones, so that man is in the computer. They can make him look however they want to.
It would also be hilarious to do on a show where they have Kurt Russell's son playing young Kurt Russell, and it's like such a great idea to have like, oh, a guy who looks like him playing younger him. Right. And then for them to just go like, but with this one, fuck it.
Oh, you're so right. They could have picked so many other people.
John Goodman's probably got a son, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can think of several other people that would have been much better picks, but anyway.
Oh, he only has a daughter. What's she doing? She could have played young John Goodman.
Yeah, but like look up like Mike Mitchell or something like that. You know Mike Mitchell?
Oh, Mike Mitchell. Yes.
Just get him.
Yes. Mike Mitchell would have been the perfect choice to play young Bill Randa.
Yes. Get a vaguely similar looking human being, please.
Next time, we'll be watching some more Sesame Street as we discuss Jim Henson's last season of Sesame Street, season 21.
Wow. Yeah, right.
It is a season focused on environmentalism, raising babies, and apparently it's the season where a fire breaks out at 123 Sesame.
Whoa, okay.
So, of course, we'll watch hours and hours of Sesame Street and try to cram it into one episode and have the best time because that show is one of the best things that we're ever going to watch.
We'll talk about it as long as we talk about Muppet Babies, though. It'll also be a 2.5 hour long episode.
Well, that's because we love it so much.
Yeah. That's right.
But before we get out of here, we also have to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. And while you're there, find some place to rate and review this podcast, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, one of those,
right on
places.
The wall of a bathroom or something like that.
Yeah, for a good time. Listen to Commitment.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually write that on the next bathroom wall that you're in.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at mail@commitment.com or follow us on social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky. And you can also follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.